Here is The Factor with Greg Gutfeld.
It's not The Factor anymore.
No, it's just The Factor.
Yeah, Factor with the very funny Greg Gutfeld.
And he doesn't make an appearance in this? Well, that's even better. But here is Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, retired, with a, I guess just his statement on the French elections and the failure of the small terror attack to implicate the elections.
So with the statement by Macron that this is the new normal, Greg, we should hammer politicians when they tell us lies, but we shouldn't hammer them when they tell the truth.
Right.
And the politicians in Europe and here who have been saying this is here and it's not going away fast are telling the truth, because the civilization of Islam in the Middle East has collapsed into barbarity, has spread to Europe, it touches us here, and it's not going to be solved for decades, if at all. So will it affect the French election? It may affect the first round. It may garner some more votes from Marine Le Pen, who is an absolute far-right nutcase.
Really?
I mean, any
Pause
American conservative.
See that Gutfeld says, really? Now, maybe it's the first time he's actually...
That's how it sounds to me. So like, well, I never read that.
Really? That's
to be honest with you,
controversial statement here, but let's continue.
Lieutenant General, in addition to being unfunny,
Now-
I also don't know anything about what I'm talking about, so please go slow.
And also, what's interesting, I mean, it's as much of a lunatic as Colonel Peters is, listen to how he describes Marine Le Pen. See if it reminds you of anybody.
Who is an absolute far-right nutcase.
Really?
I mean, any American conservative who thinks Marine Le Pen, who takes loans from Vladimir Putin, praises Russia, wants out of the EU and out of NATO, is America's friend, isn't doing his or her homework. But at any rate, the bottom line is this.
Pause it. Let's see. Takes loans from Russia. Check. Praises Putin. Check. And wants to get out of NATO. Now, I think he's backtrack on that, right?
Well, and I think he's also,
But
frankly,
there's no reason to believe that she wouldn't backtrack when she got in office.
she might be a bit of a stronger leader
Right.
than his. Emphasis on stronger. Also, the other thing that he's been really flip-flopping on is it seems like the bro crush has shifted from Putin to Xi.
Yeah, it's true.
Where's the loyalty,
I like
bro?
China now.
I like China now. Yeah,
I
we
like
don't-
China.
We don't do Russia anymore. Can I have some
We were going to have a
chopsticks?
sleepover, and I was going to have a sleepover with Vlad. And then she called me, and I'm like, yeah, why don't I hang out
And
with
you
you?
know what I realized
think
is
you got
that-
better PJs.
I said, wait a second.
I like
Actually, you know what? She's my best friend.
Yeah.
Not Vlad. It's she. Much more money.
I found out that Vlad was saying things about me, and it was just horrible.
and it was
So,
just not good. But now she's my
but
best friend. We're
my
going to
favorite
have a
part
bowl
is
of rice.
You hear Peters also slagging Gutfeld by saying, if you don't realize that, you haven't done your homework.
And I like how
It is
Gutfeld's
just-
just sort of like, well, again,
yeah,
also,
no,
in addition to everything else, I also don't do my
I've
homework.
been doing the 5. Why would I have to do any homework?
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
Who takes loans from Vladimir Putin, praises Russia, wants out of the EU and out of NATO, is America's friend, isn't doing his or her homework. But at any rate, the bottom line is this. We have to fight terrorism every single day. I want every terrorist dead. But the reality is, unless we want to turn our societies into police states, forbid people from driving cars, forbid people from owning weapons, you're going to have these small-scale attacks because they're so easy to stage. They turn our freedoms against us, and unfortunately, there is going to be a price we have to pay.
That is actually the most sensible thing I've heard. Now, you may want to make it a little bit harder for people to get guns. There was a report from Cato. I had it here, and I don't know that I can find it at the moment. But since 9/11, 83% of fatal terror attacks have been perpetrated by far-right right-wing terrorist groups. Now, I don't know if, and I suspect that not as many people have died in those attacks. But that's just a function of access to weapons, isn't it? We just don't have winners anymore.
Well, the thing though that's very significant about that is that they're in the kind of first iteration of Al Qaeda, they really were committed to doing things that were and I obviously don't mean this in a positive sense, but like in the literal, like spectacular. Like these things need to be high visibility, really terrifying events, like September 11th, obviously. Starting, I think in like 2012, you had some Al Qaeda videos where they basically were saying like, look, just go to a gun show, get a gun. And now in ISIS, if you look at their materials, they are actually on the opposite end, which is like go in and take the point is like it should be a constant state of fear. So even the normalcy of like, well, I'm not in the middle of a major city, so probably this type of thing wouldn't happen or be targeted. They want to completely dislodge. So
Right.
they've actually gone in the opposite, where their main intention is those types of sort of like mass shootings.
Hey, folks, the Majority Report YouTube page is in a bit of a crisis right now because of changes in their algorithms. Our YouTube revenue has been clobbered. We need your help. Just a couple of bucks a month would really help us out and keep this channel going. Head over to our Patreon page to find out more information. It's the URL is right here.